All right. Thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's get into that conversation. It's still about the BBI and the youth. We have 6 of them here in studio. We'll find out whether their aspirations were captured. And if you're still out there as well, we'd like to hear from you. 22422 is the SMS line. At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, #Daybreak. I'll start by letting them introduce themselves and tell us whether their aspirations were captured by the BBI. And I'll start from my immediate right. Agnes. Start by introducing yourself, what you do, and tell us whether you think your aspirations were captured by the BBI as a young person.
I'm Agnes Ibarra, a youth leader and a community mobilizer. And when I look at the BBI, for me, is a document that has been developed by conversations with people to set the dialogue, a national dialogue that we needed. In terms of youth, I feel like the proposal, looking at it, because it's a draft document, Trevor, it speaks a lot about issues with youth. We see them talking about empowering youth in terms of capturing their talent in the grassroots. We see them talking about funding micro and macro businesses, which are mostly held by the youth. We see them talk about empowerment, a program that is going to be mentoring youth who have businesses. We see them talk about issues to do with talent and sports and arts. But let me just say this. We are looking at a country where youth are very fit, and the way they concluded, the youth feel like they're not included or they're not part of this country. Yeah. So I look at this report, knowing that it's a draft report, but I see that they are not deliberate on how they're going to change the lives of the youth. When you look at Article 55, they talk about affirmative action. And you read it together with Article 100, you see that, yes, they're making proposals, but they're not deliberate. How are they going to change the lives of the youth? So I feel like going forward, when I look at the BBI task force, they did not have youth representation, but I know with the wisdom of the president going forward, they're going to include a youth in the next technical task force so that they can be deliberate on these issues, not just mentioning them as a pass-by. Okay.
I'll have you pass the microphone to her. Just introduce yourself and then tell us what you think about the BBI.
Yeah, so my name is Nathaniel Mong'are. Yeah. I am a youth leader, and also at the same time I am a lawyer. And personally, for me, what has captured my attention in the BBI is the fact that, yes, the BBI aims at bringing the country together. We've seen the 9 key pillars and agendas being outlined at length on how they are going to address all these issues that Kenya as a country we have been facing. However, on the youth, just as my counterpart here has said, is that we feel like this is just any other written thing. That's how I personally feel. And for us in Kenya, we have laws which have already been existent. We have laws, we have the constitution, and I personally feel like we don't need any other, law or words written in a very entertaining way or for it to really capture what we have.
So you don't think the report was necessary at all?
More or less, there's a point where we can say that the report was indeed necessary. If we look at it, we're still reading and still getting to get the interpretation of the report. However, I feel like we did indeed have laws which are already there. If at all these laws are followed accordingly, and policies would move to a greater height as a country.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. My name is Nathaniel Mong'are, Kadima. I'm the national spokesperson of the ANC Youth League. And first of all, if there is the worst day to be a young person was Wednesday, because at Bomas of Kenya we saw a charade. The document is unambiguous, it is empty and very incoherent. There is nothing to smile about the young people. First of all, we expected the issue of unemployment to be addressed. As you know, unemployment is at its unprecedented levels. The person who was given a chance to speak on behalf of the young people at the Bomas was not even a youth, it was a student who has not transitioned to the outside world to see what is happening to the young people. From the very beginning of the formation of the BBI task force, the President and the Right Honorable Prime Minister did not include the young people in the task force. Therefore, if you are not in the table, then you are part of the menu. We expected them to propose things like any private sector company that partners with the government to be able to provide job opportunities, they should be given tax incentives so that they are encouraged to employ more young people.
There is a tax incentive for people who start off for 7 years.
No, but we expected the government to partner with the private sector because the government cannot employ everybody. Now, this tax incentive is specifically to the established private sector businesses. Most young people do not have the capacity or the seed fund to finance startups. And most SMEs for young people are not functional. That's why if they were functioning, unemployment will not be there. It would be a thing of the past. Another thing that we expected the BBI to report to talk about is the devolution of the youth functions that are cross-cutting to the county governments. For example, we saw them talk about the gender inclusivity, that the governor and the deputy governor cannot be of the same gender. That is a good thing. But as Agnes has said, we expected them to be more specific on affirmative action. And we had proposed to the BBI that all deputy governors should be people who are below the ages of 35 as an affirmative action, either a young woman or a young man. Some of the things we also expected is that all the CECs, at least a third of the county executive committee members should be youths. All the chief officers, at least a third of them should be young people. County directors should also have been mostly young people. Another thing that personally I expected is the issue of investing in the current and the next generation. If you go to other countries, like the Nordics in the Northern Europe, you see like a country like Norway, they have been able to discover oil in the North Sea. And once they discovered oil in the North Sea, they created what we call the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And that wealth fund is for the purpose of investing in other shares for the sake of the current and the future generation. We discovered oil in Turkana. Yeah. I expected them to propose that there will be a sovereign wealth fund for the proceeds of the Turkana oil for the current young people who are suffering.
Okay.
Okay, mi naitwa Livingston Sunday, youth leader, National Youth Council, Nairobi.
Yeah.
But I think BBI haija support vijana sana, because ukiangalia hata ile committee haikuwa na kijana. So how unaweza expectaje nani anaweza leta views, because wale walikuwa age ya wazee, mtu wako na 50s and above alete issue yangu. So hakuna ile sense wange make, because hata ukiangalia venye walikuwa bombers au kwa hata na issue ya vijana, but sisi zetu wametupatia ni kama tunasukumwa, ni kama tunapewa for free. Na si hatutaki kitu ile tunapewa for free, tunataka ile kitu tunawakia. So BBI kuna challenges mingi sana.
So hizi kama hizi tax incentives ambazo wamepeana for the first 7 years, wewe huoni kama hiyo ni advantage to young people?
But Revo, ukijaribu kuangalia vijana wengi wako na madeni, because ukiangalia vijana wengi ukiangalia maybe wako maybe wamewekwa kwa manini CRB. So huwezi expect kama kijana ako kwa CRB, mtu ametoka university ako kwa CRB atapewa loan. So ile kitu angefaa wa deal nayo kwanza ni ile CRB, because huwezi expect kijana atoke shule but akishatoka shule bado ni deni ameanza kulipa. So ile time anaanza kukaa chap ako kwa madeni. So inamaanisha saa hii vijana wanalipa deni, akifika mzee ndo ataanza kukaa chap na yeye hawana kazi. So ile kitu angejaribu kuwork nayo saa hii, watutoe kwa CRB ndo watuambie zile vitu tutafanya next, because saa hii vijana wengi wako kwa madeni, hakuna vya hatuwezi songa mbele. So hizo ndio vitu saa, hizo ndio issue tunataka kuanzia saa hii.
All right.
Yeah.
Pass the microphone to her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Kenya. My name is Wanja Maina. I'm a gender and disability specialist. On Wednesday, I saw the ceremony. We also learned a bit from the Tanzanian Prime Minister that our Swahili is not as good as we thought. He really taught us a lot quite. The BBI, in my view, I felt like it's a welcome move because it started a national conversation. You know, when I saw the contents of the BBI, I felt like in Kenya we are actually not peaceful. What we have is negative peace, of which negative peace is very bad because it can be erratic. It's like a simmering volcano where some people say, you know, Kenya is like this, but others are saying, but you see us, we are left behind.
Yeah.
In my view, the BBI also brought about the views from the ground. If you read, you know, there is a way we've been saying in Kenya, kwa ground na vitu ni different, of which I felt like it spoke, even how it's written, it is, you can see when you go through the BBI, you'll see even voices of people in Kiswahili, people who are just speaking from their heart. So in the spirit of public participation, whichever criteria they used, I felt like they are voices that don't ordinarily make it to the national discourse. The BBI failed disabled people quite a bit. I think what the people, it's not even like I think, they did not in any way in their conceptualization, in their process, think of disabled people. It's just that at the end they thought these people are missing. So they put a paragraph and they said disabled people feel patronized in this country. I felt they could have done more for the 10% to 15% of the population. The BBI is not in Kiswahili, at least from what I know. It is missing out on a huge chunk of people who cannot read in English. If they really want this discussion to go to the people, and the president was very clear, read for yourselves. I think they should have made an effort to put it in a language that most people don't understand, and that is something they should do. The BBI was intentional about women. It was intentional about the 2/3. Of course, we can now go to the nitty-gritty because we are told that now we are heading into fine-tuning it. So for starters, it's a welcome move. Okay. It is starting a discussion, which in my view is something good.
Okay. She has a microphone.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. My name is Shiko Kihika, the Executive Director at Tribeless Youth. BBI for me is just another scam, like so many other reports we've had. Trevor, we've had 5 reports, somewhere under someone's bed, probably, because if we have not implemented these reports, what makes us feel like BBI will be implemented? And if we are going to implement BBI, which system will do it? Because a system that has failed cannot then both bear fruits of success, you know. I look at it, and I think Wanja has forgotten to say, when they spoke about inclusivity from the word go, like they're just trying to justify it, and right at your screens, you could tell they had no sign language interpret. The sign language interpreter then tells us there's a section of people who are excluded from this document. I look at this document with a huge question. You tell us about the tax vacation. We do not need the vacation. We need jobs. The youth of Kenya have become Tala or cash babies. You know, where if I don't get loan from Tala, then I'll get from Okash, pay Tala, and then I can lend from Tala again to pay Mshwari, and then lend from Mshwari again to pay something else, you know. If there's a joke that was being made yesterday on Twitter where they are saying, if you search on your Google Play, the app loans, there are over 100 in Kenya. Why? Who are they targeting? The young people. You have a task force that is trying to tell you how young people need a 7 years vacation, yet these young people cannot even start their own SMEs. You tell us you're going to give us loans, but you also lied to us you're still giving the same loans you're talking about for startups and SMEs. When you go to Youth Fund right now, they're not funding. So which loans are you talking about? If you give us this vacation, who will pay the China loans that you took? The Eurobond that you stole? You know, because there are these issues that we need to discuss that they're lying to us, they're tackling. Last one, Trevor, we talk about reconciliation. BBI is not about reconciliation. Reconciliation starts from the grassroots. And if we cannot have a conversation, a genuine conversation about the people who are killed, the people who are burnt in churches, the injustices that went about in 2007, 2008, come all the way to 2017, then we are not going to heal as a nation.
What would you have liked to see?
I would have loved to see...
If you are a member of the committee of the BBI...
I would have gone back and opened all the reports that we were given, all the recommendations that we are given. Let those who are incriminated in those documents face justice. Because we have a parliament that we are talking that will be enabled to empower the judiciary. And unfortunately, it's the same parliament that has been in the forefront, disabling the judiciary from achieving its goals. So I would have wanted to see, if then BBI is to work, throw it back to the people, not to the parliament. Because you cannot have sellouts decide for Kenyans. If it's democracy, take it back to the people.
Is that the same reading, Agnes? You feel that the report is repetitive?
I think it's really premature to criticize the process that's going to steer the BBI and the implementation forward. When you look at the report, as I mentioned earlier, it reads as a consolidated document. If you look at Agenda 4 of the National Accord, it said the same things. it looks like an amalgamation of a report that we have done through the years. And I think it is a good thing for Kenya, because now we are steering the conversation into the implementation of the Constitution, into the embetterment of the Constitution, and the realization of everything that we have done. So this BBI document is just a steering document to make sure that everything, that all the issues that we have on the ground are implemented. Yeah. I don't think it is really wise to start criticizing how it is going to be implemented going forward.
Nathaniel, you know, I find it strange because the leader of your party was at the Bomas of Kenya, and he was in agreement with the BBI, and you are reading from a different script.
No. First of all, my party leader, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, said that he does not want anybody to read for him. And he also said that all Kenyans should read for themselves so that nobody can tell them, I have read it, is a good document. I disagree on that. So even the press statement that the party leader issued on Monday, he said that let us call for open and sober dialogue on this document. So nothing is cast in stone. The point, some of the things the members here on the panel are raising, we expected the BBI report to save so many comrades who are unemployed from the shackles of the HELB loan that they have been entangled in. We have a debt of 6 billion to the HELB loan beneficiaries. And the government has been threatening to arrest the HELB loan defaulters. It has also been saying that they will publish their photographs. I expected the BBI report to say that the government will waive the loans of previous beneficiaries and then convert HELB loan into a grant, just like it is happening in the federal government of the United States. Just like it's happening in the National Finance Aid Scheme in the Republic of South Africa.
But how sustainable would that be?
The point is, you cannot be waiving things like the coffee debts, you are bailing out Mumias, and then the unemployed graduates who have taken 15 years of their life to study, they don't have jobs, they are suffering. Most of them are killing themselves every day. At least one youth commits suicide every day for lack of a job. The points that they are raising here, and which I'm emphasizing, is that there should be a specific amendment to the 4th schedule of the Constitution to devolve all youth functions from the current national level to the county governments. Because you see, Professor Margaret Kobia is the Minister for Youth, but she cannot comprehend basic simple issues. Like she has crippled the National Youth Council. The National Youth Council, which is enacted by an act of parliament, the National Youth Council Act of 2009, cannot function. Every financial year, the NYCs are allocated only a paltry 35 million since its formation. Yes, yet we expect the official voice of the youth, which is the NYC, to be functioning. And right now, the minister has even said that they will be nominating the members of the NYC instead of them being elected from the grassroots. So we want only the policy making for the youth functions to remain at the national level. We also expected things like the national cabinet to have at least a third on the minimum side for the youth, a third for the women. At least we can be able to see youthful people because we're the majority of the voters. But that did not happen. They were only talking about the position of prime minister, which has been diluted. They have basically renamed the position of majority leader to prime minister. So there is nothing to smile about in the BBI report. It is just cosmetic. And it is incoherent.
I actually wanted to bring in Wanja on this because you spoke about the plight of the persons living with disabilities. Did they at any given point submit what they want captured in the BBI?
Thank you, Trevor, for that question. One of the things that I've come to realize over time is just how people view people with disabilities as people who live outside of society. They are also members of political parties. So maybe their views would have been captured. They're also members of women groups. Their views will be captured. They're also members of Maendeleo Wanawake. They're also members of Embrace, the women movement. They're also members of other groups. So maybe that I wouldn't be in a position to say that in all the 7,000 people who met the BBI people, if their voices were captured. But in itself tells you about just what we think about young people, for instance, as if they are not part of the society. But Trevor, Trevor, speaking of this BBI and maybe some of the issues that I found to be profound were issues like setting up a health commission. Issues like, actually, what impressed me the most in that BBI, they said that they even have a department in the Ministry of Health where it will be a department of wellness and happiness. So these people want us to be so happy and to be so well and to be so healthy, which in my view is an issue that is affecting young people, mental health, depression. So that is something we are really failing to see. We are really obsessed with creating binaries. that just for the sake of it, I'll be on the side of no, so that Shiko, my neighbor here, will be on the side of yes. And I think this BBI is saying, let us also meet in the gray. Let us meet in the middle and say, this health and wellness is not too bad for us. Let us meet and say, higher. So now there is a governor who is a man or a woman. At least we have a deputy. And that BBI is actually, it has brought a winning formula for the third gender role that has failed 4 times. So either way, there are missing voices. And because the president promised us that this is not a final, he's creating something like a technical committee, it will be crying over spilled milk if we say that initially we were not there, because it's like the train has already left the station. So the question is, moving forward when the president is setting up that committee, I'd be curious to know who will be the voices of young women, who will be the voices of youthful people, who is the voices of disabled people, so that now as we move, and even if you saw the spirit and the mood of the president when they were launching the BBI, the mood of him was that I really want one Kenya. This divisive, we are just fatigued actually. In Kenya, they were saying we are always, at any given time, a stranger would think we have elections tomorrow. And some of the issues we argue about are historical grievances. We have beef. It's like we have issues that affect us. And so this is BBI saying, come, let us reason together. So moving forward, maybe it's time for us to discuss and make sure that there are no voices that are missing in the table. Yeah.
Livingston, wewe kama kijana ungependa kuona nini haswa kwa hiyo BBI apart from kutolewa kwa CRB? Microphone.
Okay, the main thing before hata niongelee mambo ya CRB, because president alisema to discuss, but kuna wale watoko mashinani. Are you sure wana discuss? Because kuna ingefaa ianze kuwekwa kwa version whereby kwa kila tribe, because kuna wale watu na believe, kuna watu wasikiki English, kuna watu hawezi ongea, kuna zile language wanazoongea. So nilikuwa nataka before president aseme to discuss, angekuwa make sure kila Mkenya anaweza isoma kwanza. But are you sure kila Mkenya anaisoma? Are you sure imefika mashinani? To me, I'm not sure. Because wangekuwa meweka kwa kila version, at least kila Mkenya at least angekuwa na discuss. But kwa sahi, I think what wana discuss ni wanasiasa na wale wako within town. Alafu wale wana discuss at least ni wale mayouth wale wako nini, wale wanataka hiyo information. But kuna wale wengi wao hawana haja na hiyo information. So lazima tungekuwa na ile mbinu whereby hata hao wenyewe wanafikiwa. But kwa sahi, I think tuko na watu less sana. Kuna wale wanangoja kusomewa na ndio wengi zaidi. So saidi kitu tungefanya, tungeingia paka kwa mashinani, tungetumia mbinu zile mingi ndio tuanze kudiscuss, because imefika time hatutaki kusomewa.
Mudhoni, is there something that you think will help in this particular BBI report, for example, inclusivity?
Trevor, I would really think that indeed there are some things, some of the recommendations which are absolutely correct, which I feel like they're trying to address issues that are there. For instance, the issue about where the governor fails to nominate or appoint a deputy governor in time, that they will now invoke the indulgence of the Speaker of County Assembly to come and elect now to appoint a deputy governor. I think that is really a bold move. For Nairobi, for the longest time, we've not had a deputy governor, and it's quite worrying where it's a one-man show, or we would really like to have someone else. I think that one now it's also good. Another thing that I've also seen that is also quite good is the issue where the government will try to regulate on the betting companies, which is a great havoc and a great cause of distress amongst youths. So many youths are into betting, which is very harmful. We have so many betting companies, oh my God, and people are trying as much as possible they can to bet. So they have actually indicated somewhere a clause where they're saying they're going to look at the betting companies so that we do not have all these companies trying to exploit the youth. And I think that's also a very bold and nice move to have. However, what I personally feel is this is all new wine in old casks. We've had so many recommendations whereby everyone is saying this, everyone is recommending this. We have bills in parliament, everyone is saying, what is going to happen about the execution? What new is going to come? They've also had one of the agendas is corruption, Trevor. And if you're talking about corruption, wow, this is something that everyone is looking at. Yeah, what are you going to do about corruption? What have they done so far about corruption? I think personally for me, as a youth of Kenya, I would want to see a stand president who stands and says, I am against this minister, and this minister is going to go home for corruption allegations for these people. How long have we been having these cases? These guys who are arrested over National Youth Fund, the likes of this lady who they were selling air, you know?
Yes.
And these cases have always been there at the backlog of courts. We've always had these cases, but none up to this time have we seen someone going behind bars or being locked up for corruption allegations. Yeah. So there's just so much that we are getting from BBI. Oh, reconciliation. Oh, it's really in sweet words. Yes, in Kiswahili and all that. But we really need execution of whatever is happening right now. We don't need sugarcoating. I was really happy I think my dear, she mentioned about the PM, the minister from Tanzania. And for them, they don't have a prime minister. They don't have all these fancy positions created in Tanzania. You know, all they have is the unity. And I think these things can be passed down from our society, where we feel like we as Kenyans, not as a Kikuyu or as a Luo or Luya or whatever, we need something more than just having nice words written down.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see Nathaniel wants to come in, but I have to take a quick break now and then come back and we'll get into that discussion, and Shiko as well. So let's see what you're saying online. 22422 is the SMS line. At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Let's bring them up and see what you're saying. Victor Peter says, Trevor, thanks for the conversation. The PM should be given powers for firing civil servants who break the law. He or she shouldn't be unceremoniously fired by the president. All right, Victor Peter. Let's see what else you're saying here on Engineer Lazaro. It's good to hear from you this morning again, my brother. Bringing Kenya together, doing away with negative ethnicity are some of the key pillars of true cohesion that will benefit all the youth of this nation, regardless of their ethnic background or political affiliations. All right, let's see what else you're saying here. Just keep it with the hashtag Daybreak. Atrash MB says it's a good national conversation. However, BBI has nothing new. Youth are frustrated. We are intelligent enough to understand a PR event and an honest discussion 2 terms down the line, and we are still not talking implementation. All right, let's see what else you're saying here. Shonko Andrew, good morning. You say BBI, in a way, has ignored the plight of the youth, which have been the case for a long time. The report does not indicate how the youth issues such as unemployment will be sorted out. It is the same movie, but different actors. All right, let's see another one here, the last one. Tom Luangu says, you can't promise youth a 7-year tax holiday when we know that for you to access loans for SMEs, the banks require licenses. This is a deception. We know it won't be implemented in this broke government that needs every bit of taxes. All right, keep your views coming on 22422. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag Daybreak. We're back with the conversation regarding the BBI, this time on the youth, what their aspirations captured, and what are their aspirations? What would they have liked to see? That in just a bit.